Hello there. It's late and the room is quieter than it should be. The kind of quiet where you can hear the soft hum of the fan spinning above you and the faint vibration of your phone lighting up on the desk. You don't reach for it right away. You already know what it probably is. A message that starts with, "Hey, are you busy?" Or worse, a plan that only exists because someone else cancelled. You stare at the ceiling, tracing invisible patterns in the paint, and tell yourself it's not a big deal. You tell yourself you're just overthinking. But somewhere beneath that calm surface, there's a small familiar ache, the kind that doesn't shout. It just stays. Maybe it hurts because we don't just want to be included. We want to be chosen. Not as a second option, not as the if nothing else works plan, but as someone whose name comes to mind first, naturally, instinctively, like reaching for your favorite mug in the morning without even thinking about it. Being the backup friend feels a little like standing near the door at a party. You're inside, technically. You're invited. You're smiling. But part of you is always aware that you weren't the reason the lights were turned on. And that awareness taps into something deeper, our quiet need to matter, to feel significant in someone else's story. Psychologically, it makes sense. We're wired for belonging, for recognition. So when we sense we're only the maybe, it can stir up doubt. Am I not enough? Am I too much? If you've felt that, it's not dramatic, it's human. I remember one Friday night a few years ago. I was sitting at my desk, the glow of my laptop washing the room in pale blue light. Outside, I could hear motorbikes passing by in uneven bursts and laughter drifting faintly from somewhere down the street. My phone buzzed once, then twice. It was a group chat notification. At first, I smiled. I assumed it was a plan I had somehow missed while I was working. I opened it slowly, already picturing myself getting ready. Changing shirts, grabbing my wallet, stepping into the cool night air. But the messages weren't new plans. They were photos. 4 of them were already at a cafe we had talked about visiting together weeks before. The wooden tables, the warm hanging lights, a blurry picture of someone raising a glass. Under it, someone typed, "You should have come." I stared at that sentence for a long time. No one had actually invited me. A few minutes later, another message popped up, this time from one of them privately. "Hey, we thought you might be busy, but if you're free, you can still join." If you're free. I looked down at my outfit, an old t-shirt, soft from too many washes. My room felt smaller suddenly. The fan above me made a slow ticking sound, like it was counting something I couldn't name. I told them I had work to finish. I didn't. I just didn't want to be the person who arrives late to something that was never really waiting for them. And that night, lying in bed, I kept replaying it. Not the cafe, not the laughter, just that quiet realization that I wasn't the first thought. It took me a while to understand that night wasn't just about a cafe. It was about the story I quietly told myself afterward. Somewhere along the way, I had equated being chosen first with being worthy, as if friendship were a ranking system, as if love was something measured by speed. Who texts first? Who calls first? Who thinks of you without hesitation? But people are complicated. Timing is messy. Sometimes we're not invited first, not because we are unloved, but because life is loud and imperfect and human. And more importantly, being someone's backup doesn't define your value. It only reveals the kind of spaces you've been standing in. I started realizing that I don't want to squeeze myself into rooms where I'm optional. Not out of bitterness, but out of a quiet respect for my own presence. There is a difference between being available and being valued. And once you feel that difference, you can't unfeel it. Maybe being the backup friend isn't a flaw in you. Maybe it's just a quiet signal, guiding you towards spaces where your presence isn't an afterthought, but a joy. It's okay to want to be chosen. It's okay to feel that small ache when you aren't. Just don't let it convince you that you are less. Somewhere out there are people who will think of you first. Not because they have to, but because it feels natural. And until then, can you choose yourself? Just as gently? Thank you for listening, and see you in the next story.